Alright guys, so we've got some news on MXGP 2022. I've been getting this question fairly often for the last few months. Where is MXGP 2022? Is Milestone going to make another MXGP game? Well, we have official word from Milestone. You will see it in a bit, but before we get to that, they were pretty vague. They were pretty tight-lipped about what they wanted to say. And I think most people probably took it safe to assume that MXGP 2022 wasn't going to happen because we're at the end of December. You're probably seeing this video the Friday before the end of the year. It was safe to say we won't be getting MXGP. But, again, we do have official word. And you should see it on screen. If that's all you care about, that's it. But it isn't really as simple as just Milestone saying, we're not going to do an MXGP game this year, we just didn't have time or whatever. I mean, I know they didn't say time, but they just didn't do it. It made it sound like they wanted to, but they just couldn't do it. But it isn't that simple. If you are familiar with Milestone, you know they make a lot of officially licensed games, whether that be MotoGP, SBK22, Hot Wheels, MXGP, Supercross. You know, they make a lot of these official Pro Series games, and they have a contract to fulfill. They are officially licensed games, and so for them not to make MXGP this year, it means two things. Either one, they didn't renew the contract with MXGP, and they don't plan on doing it anytime soon and they're done with MXGP, or they did renew MXGP but not for 2023 for whatever reason. That's the other possibility, but I kind of lean towards the second one, that they didn't renew MXGP and they don't plan on doing that anytime soon. Now, hear me out before you disagree with me, but what I think Milestone's going to do, because it gets really interesting knowing that MXGP won't be happening this year, and in my opinion won't be happening next year. Maybe they do. Maybe they decide to pump out tons of games in 2023 because, you know, think about it. SBK22 came out September 15, I believe, and then they didn't have anything after that. So for close to half a year, they only had one game, and we're not used to that with Milestone. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but SBK22, from all intents and purposes, it was very, very similar to MotoGP, right? A few differences and things were different, but the way the game played was very similar to MotoGP. So they had one game similar to a game they already had released earlier in the year, and then that was it. So it was kind of weird that they just didn't have a game to put out, you know, in the November, December area. And that would have been MXGP. Milestone didn't say anything. They still haven't addressed the public about it, but I did get an official statement from them, and it is confirmed. You probably already saw it, but there will be no MXGP game this year. Now, it does sound, they made it sound like they just didn't, they wanted to, but they just didn't. Well, like I said, the licensing and contract that they have to do, it isn't as simple as just they didn't do it. But back to what this means. In my opinion, they're not going to do MXGP this year, obviously, or next year, or maybe the year after that. What I think they're going to do is, we have Super Motocross, and I've seen a few people say that, is Milestone going to make a Super Motocross game? I'm all for it. I support that. I want that. But I just don't see them making a Super Motocross game with Monster Energy Supercross and Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Nationals in one game. I don't see them making that for $60. If they do, it's going to be more than $60 probably. I'd be so happy if they did, but I don't see it happening. What I see happening is them making individual Supercross and individual motocross, AMA motocross games, right? And then selling them for $60. That's what I see happening. You might say, well, Milestone, no way. They're not doing an AMA, a Lucas Oil Pro Motocross game. Well, the Milestone and Rainbow are both owned by the same company, THQ Nordic. Rainbow Studios already has it. I could see Milestone making an AMA motocross game. I could see it. I very well could see it, especially with the hype behind Super Motocross. I could see it happening, making a Supercross game during Supercross and then a motocross game coming out. I'm not exactly sure when. Maybe they try to do the current season similar to what they did with MXGP, but I definitely could see that happening, and just not in the same game, which would be really, really cool. It would be a nice change of pace from MXGP. I mean, MXGP is a great game, a great series, but we've been getting it for many, many, many years. It would be nice to see something a bit different, right? Probably people will feel the same way about the AMA game after 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years, whatever, and maybe they go back to MXGP, or maybe they do MXGP with the Super Motocross game. Maybe they do that, but I just don't see it. But it is possible. It very well is possible. Now, the other thing that is interesting is Supercross 6 has been announced. It is coming out. Now, for them to do that, they had to have renewed a contract with Monster Energy Supercross, right? With Feld. They would have had to have done that, because we know that they were contracted through Supercross 5. So if they didn't renew, we wouldn't have gotten a new Supercross game. We don't know what the contract is. We don't know any of this stuff. I mean, Milestone hasn't said. I mean, they, like I said, their response was very vague, because they don't want to announce that probably yet. And maybe they don't make an announcement like a Super Motocross game. Maybe they just announce it as, hey, we're going to do the AMA Pro Motocross season, which would be super sick. So the other thing that crossed my mind is that maybe they do a World Supercross game, but they had 2 World Supercross races in 2022, and they're only planning on having 6 World Supercross races in 2023. So it would be really, really weird if they made a $60 full game out of that series. I could see it happening, but I don't really see it happening unless World Supercross gets more races, because to only have 6 races, it just, it'd have to be like a $20 game, and I just don't see Milestone doing that. I don't. Now, if you guys feel different, let me know in the comments. I'd be really curious to see what you guys think, but I don't see a Super Motocross game happening. I see 2 individual AMA Supercross, AMA Motocross games happening, with the possibility of an MXGP game in the works after they get this thing off the ground and running. But to do the AMA Motocross game is completely new. Yes, you might say, well, they'll have the same physics and stuff, but it's still different. So that's how I see it happening. But no MXGP 2022 is basically what the video was about. So if that's all you cared about, you're probably not even here anymore. But I mean, I think it was safe to assume that no, we won't be getting a new MXGP game this year, considering it's the last week of December, and you're probably seeing this video, what would it be, 28, 29 on the 20 or the 30th. You're probably seeing this right before the end of the year. Yes, it was safe to say, but everybody had just been making assumptions, right? There had not been official word from Milestone, and we worked really hard to try and get that for you. It was time consuming, and the reason I didn't have answers for some of you people that were asking me, like on Instagram, and I think I got it. People were asking me in Facebook, or not Facebook, Twitter DMs and stuff. I didn't have an answer for you because I didn't know. I really didn't know, but now I do. Sorry I couldn't get this for you sooner, but I was trying my best, and I didn't want to make an assumption that we weren't getting it. I wanted to have an official word, so yeah, we got that. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. What do you think Milestone's going to do? What does this mean for the MXGP series? Is it done? Is it coming back? Is it happening next year already? Are they going to do an AMA Pro Motocross game? Are they going to throw both the series together in one game? I don't see it happening, but it is possible. Also, where will they put the 3 playoff races from the Super Motocross series? Will they even do that? Will they just skip that part? Will they put that in Supercross, or will they put it in an AMA Motocross game if they do it? I see them sooner putting it in an Monster Energy Supercross game, but they could easily put it in the Motocross game too, or if they make both games, both series in one game, then we know where it would be. But the playoff races, I feel like, kind of puts it up in the air a bit, what they'll do, if they'll even do it. I mean, they should, because that is how it would be. It'd be weird if they didn't, but they wouldn't really be marketing it as a Super Motocross game. It would be more marketed as a individual outdoors, indoors. So I know we kind of repeated ourselves with the individual stuff. But let me know in the comments. I'd be really curious to see. But you guys and girls are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for the support on the channel lately. It really does mean a lot. Happy end of 2022 and beginning of 2023. Until the next video, take it easy.